How loud is a lightsaber supposed to be? Because I had that hilarious thought of like an older lightsaber turning on, and it just sounds like a PS2 chugging forward the night.
It's like starting up a chainsaw.
Turns the lightsaber and all the birds like just start flying away.
I know the idea of a lightsaber with a ripcord. That's hilarious.
Like starting at like a small engine. Like,
It only comes out halfway and then dies back down.
Or like one of those wind-up flashlights.
Hello there. You found the Lost Holocron, an ancient artifact of lore and legends from a galaxy far, far away. Each transmission of the Lost Holocron, you will join an episodic discussion of the media from the Star Wars universe. We will be your guides, an artificer.
Hi, I'm Tim.
I'm a paladin. The fighter.
I'm a cleric.
Alright, take two.
And a sorcerer.
Sorcerer.
Hell yeah. What is an artificer, actually? I haven't heard of this class.
It's a magic techno fighter.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be covering the material up to and including chapter 26 of Heir to the Empire. Tim, what happened so far?
So far, we have a lot of different plans to jump between, so we'll start with Kashyyyk. Leia Organa Solo has gone into hiding with Chewbacca, but they are once again set upon by their attempted abductors. Through a mixture of struggle, luck, and perceptiveness, the kidnapping is thwarted with an assailant in custody. During the interrogation, the Noghri Khabarakh identifies Leia as the Malariush. That sounds like a strain of weed. The daughter and heir to Darth Vader, whom the Noghri people hold in high esteem. Despite having killed Chewbacca's childhood friend, Leia grants clemency in the hopes of being granted a solo parley on the Noghri homeworld. Now to Myrkr. After having crashed in the wilderness, Luke Skywalker and sworn mortal enemy Mara Jade have to rely on each other's skills to survive the return to civilization. Mara marches Skywalker at blasterpoint as she struggles with her ideals, vendetta, and the realities of her situation. Despite the obvious enmity, she remains reticent about her past and his transgression. To make matters more complicated, Grand Admiral Thrawn has left a contingent of stormtroopers at their exit point to catch Mara's superior Talon Karrde in the lie of having no involvement with Skywalker. Meanwhile, Karrde also hides Han Solo and Lando Calrissian away from the observant Imperial commander. Han and Lando are first to uncover the deception and gain valuable intel that may lead the New Republic to identify Thrawn as the mysterious commander of the reorganized Imperial remnants. Privately, Karrde laments his predicament and reluctantly gives the order for his people to execute Skywalker should his deception be exposed to the Imperials. Stuart, what happened in this chapter?
Okay, chapter 26 we have. After 2 days straight of using stim pills to evade sleep, Mara is starting to crack. She can feel her reflexes dulled in a close encounter with a Vornska. To her chagrin, Skywalker seems to be taking every opportunity to sleep. They stop to receive information from Skywalker's X-Wing, finally receiving a message from Karrde. To Mara's surprise, a New Republic droid is representing both Karrde and Solo in their debrief. They learn that the Grand Admiral's suspicions have led to an Imperial detachment waiting their emergence from the forest at Hillard. Given that Karrde's explanation to Thrawn gendered the identities of neither the disgruntled employee nor the pursuer, Karrde suggests that Skywalker and Mara swap roles to obfuscate Skywalker's identity. They are set upon by another Vornska, but this time Mara is too slow to react and is knocked unconscious. Luke jumps into action, reclaims his lightsaber, and cuts down the threat. Jade regains consciousness, but menaces Luke with her blaster to disarm. He acquiesces and throws down his lightsaber, imploring once more to understand his transgressions against her, to which bitterly she too acquiesces. Mara Jade was known as the Emperor's Hand, an operative outside Imperial bureaucracy that could utilize any means necessary to achieve Palpatine's machinations. With the Emperor assassinated, she lost everything, and has been scrounging a life together since Imperial defeat over the forest moon of Endor.
I would like to nominate Kyle for an award.
Yes, we would like to congratulate him quite thoroughly
Yes.
on his detective skills.
Yes, correctly guessing Mara Jade's background.
Mm-hmm.
Finally get it.
Oh, yay! He did it.
It's funny, I was actually just re-listening to the episode where I talked about that, and I was just like, Yeah, I'm still pretty solid on that theory. And then I read that chapter a little bit later.
Uh-huh.
It is interesting. I am glad that we finally got some information on
I know, right?
people. It really does show a flaw with anyone who like follows the Emperor. Like she has nothing. Like she had nothing after the Emperor died. No home, nothing, no possessions or anything. It's just like, what are you doing it for? What do you follow him?
Yeah. I mean, it was all down to the Emperor's hubris, right? Of like, he is immortal, infallible, and he makes the people that follow him believe that as well. So,
Right.
She thought forever she would have some position of power through his graces, but dictators do fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also like to point out that despite having read this, I completely forgot her backstory.
Nice.
And didn't remember that she was so close to Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, I was shocked at how close she was.
Yeah.
I think my theory specifically was that she was going to be the backup replacement. It sounded like she was just there when Darth Vader wasn't there. Like Darth Vader leaves the room and then Mara Jade emerges from the shadows to take his place whenever he's not there.
Yeah, kind of seemed like that, right?
Yeah. I feel like she had a higher position than Vader, actually.
That might be true.
But
Yeah.
well, actually, you know what? That's fair. Emperor hated Darth Vader, and Darth Vader hated the Emperor equally.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have to have any records of her action. Meanwhile, Vader is probably writing business reports here and there.
Of all the people that he's choked out.
Yeah.
So is that what he was doing in
Mara
that
have a
pod that
title?
opens up?
Yeah, that's what he does in there. That's why he hates being disturbed in there. He just wants to get it all done.
As an Admiral Piers comes in, and the pod just opens up, and all this paperwork just falls out of the side. Oh man, I gotta pick all this up again.
What a nice gig to not have to do any paperwork at all.
Yeah.
Just work.
One day I'll have a job where I don't have to do paperwork.
So I knew Mara's backstory, but I guess I didn't realize how under the radar she actually was. I thought I thought the Emperor's Hand was like an assassin type role that everybody knew about, or at least, not everybody, but, I don't know, kind of like its own department or something, But I thought maybe like Vader would have known about it at least, but it sounds like he didn't even know about her at all, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I'm assuming she was trained in the Force by Palpatine.
Quite possibly, yeah. Because it did say that she was like, she could hear his mind or his call at any point in the galaxy.
Yeah.
So it seemed like there was, not quite the same relationship that Darth Vader would have had as like a Sith apprentice, but more of like, this cloak and dagger assassin's tool that he could call into action at any point.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate to bring a canon concept in, but what if they were a dyad in some way?
I'm still not sure what that means, but
It's kind of like how Revan and Bastila are like basically a really intense force bond between people.
Okay.
And Rise of Skywalker just took it to like crazy levels,
Right. Okay.
which I actually thought were cool.
Yeah. Well, actually, I thought this idea was also recycled as well into the Rakatan Empire. That the Rakatan leaders had these force hounds that they sent off to discover worlds that were high in force sensitivity, so that they could subjugate these worlds.
Oh, interesting.
And they too were connected by mentally connected to their masters. So
Interesting.
I thought that was an interesting bit of lore that may or may not have been recycled into this idea, but like it's a really good one. So I would like to see more of that kind of concept, because I know Mara Jade has her own books. If we once we're done with this trilogy, that we could go back and find out more about her, or
I'd be interested to learn her backstory, because she must have had a pretty extensive background for her to gain Palpatine's attention in the first place. So, because I imagine he didn't spend, the hundreds of thousands of hours, whatever, training her to be as good as she is now, personally, without anybody else knowing. So she must have had a really extensive background, maybe even a Force background. Who knows? Prior to him finding her.
Oh, I would guess that she had like an Imperial operative background, and then he just like took her out of the ranks. and then she just like disappeared completely off the radar, only to show up in this kind of like,
Oh, okay.
assassins.
Maybe like faked her death or something.
Maybe.
Or, the Emperor goes to great lengths to do a weird shit. There's a good chance he impregnated a woman immaculately.
Maybe he's really just her father.
He's like, Anakin round 2, let's try this again.
Maybe it's just a daddy-daughter thing.
Maybe she's a clone, and that's why she's so angry now, because her mind is deteriorating.
Clones.
Yeah.
Maybe she's Sabaya's daughter.
Ooh.
That would be worthy of Star Wars.
Do clones' children's also deteriorate in the same rate that clones do? Or
Do clones actually have children?
I thought they only deteriorated because of the flash aging, which happens after the cloning.
Okay.
Yeah, I was under the impression that it's like, yeah, you clone, and then there's a second process where you flash age them, and that's how how we're pumping out soldiers.
That would make a lot of sense, because like, genetically it's all the same as anything else, but then you want to stress the DNA, or whatever the it is DNA in Star Wars, right?
Yeah,
I would imagine. So yeah,
whatever genetic material they got, they just pushing them forward, putting that under a whole lot of stress, and then that just causes deterioration faster.
It's like an old rubber band.
Yeah.
midichlorians.
Maybe midi-chlorians is their word for DNA.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I thought it was also interesting that like just how gritty Mara's job seemed to be as the Emperor's hand, and we were comparing this to like an Inquisitor position in the current canon, and the current Inquisitors are so cush compared to what it seems she's been through, that she is just like this silent assassin that just comes out of the night, whereas the Inquisitors have their like, I don't know, like super Imperial shuttles, and they got all the best tech and like just everything at their disposal, and she's just like out there with some twigs and killing Fenskers just as a side hobby, so that she knows how to survive where she is.
I feel like she would take out all the Inquisitors with like piano wire or something, just like a silent.
Probably would.
Just like, she could just take them all out single-handedly.
I do appreciate them making her a badass, but it still makes me wonder, how the f*** did she fail in Jabba's palace then?
Well, because remember, Jawa wouldn't let her go to the sail barge.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then in the Force vision, it says that if she had gone to the sail barge, she would have, up there.
Yeah.
It still seems a little like, oh, well, he said no, so I guess this whole plan's
I know. It doesn't seem like her to just listen to him. It seems like she would use that as, her stealth and all her skills to find a way onto the sail barge.
Yeah, that did seem a little contrived to me.
Yeah,
but she's also got to maintain a believable cover.
Right.
Yeah.
At the same time. So maybe, her trying to cajole Jabba makes a lot of issues with like her being a dancer there, or, whatever else, that it's going to seem strange, or, I'm pretty sure she would have finished her mission so she could just haul ass out of there after she killed Luke. But,
So it kind of makes you wonder, like, what did Palpatine know to actually send her to Jabba's palace?
Yeah.
Palpatine knows all, boy.
He did. I guess he's got, he knows all, but it's like, I don't know. I guess did he expect her to assassinate Luke?
Well, that seemed to be a mission. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, imagine having to go back to Palpatine and being like, oh, I couldn't do it. Jabba said he couldn't go with him, so I failed. Sorry.
Right.
He said no. What am I going to do?
He's just being okay. All right. We'll find a better way next time.
That is a pretty clever utilization of the resistance to mind tricks that we saw Jabba display in Return of the Jedi, though. So that does soften it for me. Yeah, and I mean, Jabba was a pretty massive force to be reckoned with back then. I think even Palpatine was like, "Yeah, don't get on his bad side."
Yeah, because I don't think that she could have exited in the same way that Luke and Leia exited, to like choke him out and then blow out his sail barge. that would have gone down pretty badly with the Empire if that had been her exit strategy too.
Right.
So she would have to maintain some sort of cover. while assassinating Luke.
Yeah.
But it kind of stands to reason that both Han and Lando didn't really see her. Like they were like, oh, she looks kind of familiar, but they didn't recognize her because, you know, the patrons that are paying attention to the dancers in Jabba's palace are all the lowlives there.
Yeah.
But anybody there with, you know, a modicum of business or, you know, plan in their own head is not paying attention to the entertainment. That's what I mentioned like a few months ago about like Luke walks into the cards compound and he's taken in by this tree and it's like, dude, that's the flashing lights that your military training is supposed to train out of you. You're supposed to look around and see that the Vornskas are looking at you like a piece of meat and they got 6 kids that are about to fall off a playground.
Yeah. I really like Luke's whole vibe in this forest because he like clearly is not fit for that environment, but he's just being overly confident about it anyway. Yeah, it feels like Mara has to babysit him a little bit, and I really like that.
And the fact that he's taking a nap every time they stop is really funny too. She's just like popping stim pills all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, well, you could just sleep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he knows the value of sleep because obviously she shows just how valuable sleep is by not having sleep.
Yeah. It probably puts her even more on edge to see him sleeping so much.
Yeah.
Because if it comes down to inevitable confrontation, then that's going to be an advantage.
Yeah. I wonder if that's one of his like his techniques as well, to be like, you know, it's everything's fine. Look, just sleep like this. Everything's safe. I'm sleeping. I'm giving you this trust. You can trust me too.
Absolutely, yeah.
I do have to say, man, there's a audio kind of play kind of thing called The Edge of Sleep. And in that they have something similar to like the stim pills. They take them because if you fall asleep, you die.
Oh.
And it like near the end of them, like on their stim pills, they're like going mad and having weird hallucinations.
Uh-huh.
It's like Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah, and that's another. Yeah. I wonder if I've seen it a lot in media. I wonder if there's just something like that in real life. I guess there's caffeine pills, something like that.
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah. Okay.
This is like caffeine crossed with cocaine.
Right. No, it's you always hear about like, you know, oh, if you die in your sleep, in your dreams, then you die in real life.
I would have been dead years ago.
Right.
So Mara does like lament, or not lament, but like chides herself over, I've only been up for 2 days. I used to be able to do this for six days straight, and like, why am I falling apart so easy? Why do you think she is falling apart so easy?
She's probably fucking stressed out.
You think it's just this situation is particularly taxing?
Yeah, and also I don't know. Like she's probably mentally losing her shit because he's been snapping at Luke constantly. Since he's been there,
she's been so angry.
I can't say for sure that she's been sleeping since he's been there.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah, I guess too. Like she's been thinking about this guy for 4 years, 5 years after the Empire has been, and so every night in her dreams, she's probably like, "That Luke Skywalker, I'm gonna stab him in the throat someday," and just.
Actually, that may be the issue right now. Is that she's thinking about Luke. She's not thinking about herself. She's probably not taking care of herself like she does when she's on a mission, only focusing on what she needs to do.
Yeah.
Right.
That is an excellent point.
She has so much hatred for him that she might be projecting that in her own mind, that he has almost as equal hatred towards her. Even though
100%.
we don't.
Yeah.
But, you know, she probably just thinks that, you know, because of how much hatred she has for him.
That's a great point too.
And so she's just tossing and turning, you know, she's like, oh, he's going to try and kill me. Yeah, I gotta get to him first. But another thing I was thinking of, you know, back when she was doing all these missions for Palpatine, you know, not sleeping for 6 days, she also had the Force with her.
Oh, so, okay.
Oh, yeah.
That could have helped her, you know, because Luke goes through his, like, you know, his Jedi trances or whatever, you know, when he's on the X-Wing or whatever else it is.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, just in general, you know, so something like that, she could have just, like, you know, done, like, a quick little, you know, Force meditation or whatever, you know, and been, you know, re-energized. But now she can't do that. She's on.
A little bit of force rage.
Yeah, she can't do that. She's on Myrkr.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because like I was thinking, like, is she getting old? Is she getting soft? Is something like
Probably that too.
Yeah, probably that too.
Yeah.
What about this situation is like making this happen? Like, because she said she was going out into the forest and hunting these things and really learning to take care of herself. So like, it can't be that. And her skills are still like sharp as a whip. So I don't think it's her getting soft or old. It's just, maybe it is just Luke being there. Just she's out of her own head right now. And now she's got pills to make it worse.
Yeah. Just imagining a coked out Mara now, trying to lead him through the forest.
Just like, what was that blast?
And so, I guess we do have confirmation in this chapter that she is force sensitive because one, she can talk to Palpatine at any arbitrary distance, or could have done that when he was alive, and it is confirmed that she is the person from Luke's vision that was using the Force to snatch his lightsaber. So so no more blaster sound effects for those people out there in the listening land.
Yeah.
What the f*** do you mean no more black?
This is what we've been talking about the whole time.
Yeah.
We withheld it this long, just like Timothy Zahn withheld Mara's motivation.
All right, so on that point, Tim, if this had come at, like, not the second chapter, but like the third chapter or something, after they bombed Fash.
Oh, yeah.
There was that little thing about promises. If you had gotten something at that time that, like, when I was back working under the Emperor, because I think that was under her point of view as well, not Card's point of view. When would have been a good time to release this beat?
I think in terms of her relationship with Luke and the conflict there, this is the right time for it to come out.
This is now.
Yeah, but I think we as viewers should have gotten some more info ahead of time so that we could become engaged with it. And I think Card would have been the perfect lens to trickle that info, like have him figure things out about her as we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the entire time it was just nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I don't even think chapter 3. I think I just would have been happy if we found out a little more information like 6 chapters ago. Like,
yeah,
just a few. Right.
Yeah, just like trickle it out here and there. Like he picks up a clue.
Yeah, drip feed it a little bit more rather than like holding back this big thing all at once.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of like keeping us for so long.
Yeah, because I mean, I still felt like very satisfied this chapter, and that's because, as I said, it's right for it to happen with her relationship with Luke in this moment.
Yeah.
But in terms of broader reader engagement, yeah.
Yeah, when we talked about Lando and Han going to see the sights, we were like, "Oh, road trip," and you gave this kind of like, "Oh, the external is supposed to reflect the internal, and it's going to challenge them in some way." I was wondering, like, did you have any ideas about?
Yeah, taking them out of their element.
Yeah, that like this is the bottle episode of Luke and Mara on their. On their road trip almost. So like what is it you would expect out of like that road trip that you kind of saw in this chapter?
Well, I think what's really interesting is that they're both out of their elements in different ways. In Mara's case, I think it's ironically because obviously Luke has no experience here, but internally he is quite calm and collected, as we can see.
Yeah.
Mara, on the other hand, she's in an element she knows, but Luke is just messing everything up. And so she is internally unstable while Luke is internally stable. And meanwhile, their stability with the environments is reversed in that aspect. And so
right. Okay.
I think that's a really interesting way to approach this conflict between them.
Yeah.
To kind of have Mara stabilize internally based on Luke, and then also have Mara be getting Luke out of a lot of trouble because of her familiarity with the environment. And in this chapter, we saw that balance. We saw things becoming more balanced. Like Luke saves her from the Vornskr, and also gets some information out of her and makes her relax a bit. So they start getting more on even ground here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it fits it nicely. It's
Yeah, no, this chapter was really satisfying in that sense of like, as you said, there's a bit of balance there, and it was at that kind of like tipping point that we needed some sort of like release, and I
yeah,
felt like that was quite well executed in this chapter.
agreed.
Although, saying that, like at the end, we get this information, and she just throws some like salve at him to like nurse his welt, and you know what happens now? Now he knows that he was going to assassinate her, and then he killed her master, and now she's got nothing. Where does it go from here?
Romance. Well, I noticed there was a bit of a change in her tone when she found out about the stormtroopers set up in the town that they're headed to. Is that, oh, they're going to capture us.
Oh,
So I feel like now she's worried. Now she's no longer worried about getting Luke out. She's worried about both of them getting out because for whatever reason, she thinks Thrawn is going to get both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
oh, that's a good.
I mean,
point.
it's not like she can march him out and hand him over to the stormtroopers and be like, because they're already caught in this lie of there was some disgruntled employee trying to get out.
Yeah.
Wasn't she also checking out the back of his head at one point?
Was she?
Yeah, I saw there was a description of that where she was like looking at the back of his head.
Oh, I thought she was like, her gaze was burning through the back of his skull or something like that.
Yeah, I thought of it more as a glaring, like this sleeping right here, napping.
Gotcha. Yeah, it made me think of this one SNL skit. Or it might be Mad TV actually, where like there's this guy in a movie theater who is like aggressively asking a girl in the row ahead of him for her number.
Uh-huh.
And at one point he goes, "Girl, the back of your head is ridiculous." That's what I thought of with this. Another thing that I liked. So this is the first time where I've been okay with force being negated, but that's because I just particularly enjoy when a non-force sensitive person uses a lightsaber, like whenever it happens. And so Luke doing it in this instance without the force just scratched that itch a bit for me. So for once, I was okay with this concept of these animals can negate the force.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting to have the way he's using the lightsaber be described in a non-force way. Like it felt more cerebral, the strategy, rather than instinctual.
Yeah, and he was a little concerned about like missing as well, which usually he would probably be like on point using the force, having that flow through him, rather than like having to use his own judgment to like stab at this thing.
Just lightly poke at the end of the lightsaber.
Like using the lightsaber for the first time again.
Oh yeah, probably.
Force. Oh. But he has a little more skill with it this time around. But he has to use more concentration to make sure he doesn't cut her hands off.
Yeah.
Do you think in the chapter they're like, do you know how loud this lightsaber is? How loud it can carry through the jungle? Because I don't. How loud is the lightsaber supposed to be?
That is a very good question. I have no clue.
because I had that hilarious thought of like an older lightsaber turning on, and it just sounds like a PS2 chugging forward the night.
It's got a cooling fan in the bottom that's just going like a jet engine.
An elegant weapon.
It's just like, all the birds just like, turn the lightsaber and all the birds like just start flying away. You hear all them, like all the animals just like screaming.
Yeah.
It's like starting up a chainsaw.
Right.
So there's that first thing that just like that hiss snap, or this, was it snap hiss?
Yeah, snap hiss.
Snap hiss.
Doesn't matter.
It's just before it settles down to its like running noise level.
I mean, I know lightsabers aren't supposed to be like super stealth weapons, but I imagine they were quieter.
Yeah. I wonder if you can get a silencer for those.
I mean, you can have a conversation while it's lit,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it can't be too loud. It's got to be like well, we don't know about those proto sabers back in like 500 before the Battle of Yavin, but because those might be like jet engines or whatever.
Right.
Like, wow, this thing's so quiet.
It's like, no, I'm your father. What?
Can you turn it down a little bit?
Do lightsabers have volume control?
Mm.
Could that be an intimidation tactic?
Mm.
Well, with the protosabers, it probably was. You've got like this big army of people holding these jet engine sounding things that are just screaming across the plains.
Actually, I wonder if it like sounds a bit louder or even sounds a bit differently based on the environment and how the plasma blade is interacting with it.
Mm.
Like a little bug zapper that just suddenly just goes.
Yeah.
I love the idea of a lightsaber with a ripcord. That's hilarious.
Starting like a small engine, like. Vroom, vroom.
It only comes out halfway and then dies back down.
Or like one of those wind-up flashlights.
You know the one that you squeeze?
Like you're trying to crank it and it gets a little longer and longer.
Little known Jedi of old had these like old watches that you have to wind every now and then. They have to like take out their lightsaber, just wind it a little bit and put it back on the belt.
At my job, I run a lot of machines, and a lot of them have different types of buttons and switches on them, depending on what you need to do. And I'm just imagining what the most inconvenient button you have on a lightsaber would be. Because there's some where you gotta like twist it, push it, you gotta flip a switch, open a handle, turn a knob.
You got one of those Chinese sliding puzzles that goes down the hill.
In order to turn the lightsaber on, you gotta solve a Rubik's Cube.
Right.
You have to plug in a USB stick correctly. First try.
Right. Yep.
It's like one of those things where you shake it to make kinetic energy, and you gotta.
The shake saber.
It's a great workout.
In 20 minutes.
So growing up, my friend's parents had I think it was like a 1980 something Jeep, and on the dashboard it actually had like these pull out little knob that you actually pull and push in to actually like operate whatever the radio or whatever. And I'm just imagining that being extremely inconvenient.
Oh yeah. Or maybe like a push and twist thing like on medicine bottles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about like the two different types of light bulbs you get is like the screw type and then the bayonet type. And I was like, oh, because I quite like the action of the bayonet. I think it's quite cool, but it's low tech and very reliable. So how would that integrate with a lightsaber to like turn it, or like you pull down this like a draw pin and then twist it and then release it and it turns on and then there's like a quick release or something like that, or I don't know if that's like your locking mechanism to keep your lightsaber on so you can swing it from a vine.
Interesting you say lightsaber though, because the Graflex, the blue one that Luke uses in A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then everyone else uses at some point or another, was made from a flash handle for a camera, and they would literally put a light bulb in the top of it to use it.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it a bayonet or a twist?
I would say it's more bayonet style, but it's a light bulb that's made in like a twist shape. I mean, it's the same overall shape, not the same twisting mechanism, but that's because there's like a clamp in that upper area that squeezes around the light bulb to keep it in.
Mm-hmm. That's not one of those ones that when it flashes, it jumps out and smashes on the floor, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. Yeah, no, there's a switch that you turn it on, and there's like, it turns on a small amount of power that shines through like this glass eye in the front, so you can get an idea of how it'll work on your image. And then there's a red button towards the top, which was used as the activation in The Force Awakens, that you hit, and then it just like releases all the power.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then your light bulb's done. Get a new one. Yeah.
Wait, so is it single use?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Single use for the light bulb, not for the flash handle.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of the last chapter as well, we had Card musing about how he had tried to domesticate Mara in the same way as the Vonskas. Does this mean that Mara had a tail? She was a Saiyan that you had to clip off the tail.
Right?
Oh my god.
Have we actually gotten confirmation that she's human?
Well, yeah, she's human passing, but she might be something else.
All the artwork of the character has been wrong this whole time.
Right.
Do we have a any sign that she is getting domesticated, or she's like,
I don't think by Card,
no?
by Luke at this point.
Yeah. I guess, at this point, I'm just thinking, like, what is the next step of, like, she has to willingly work with him next. Like, that's the next step in there.
Mhm.
Kind of like interaction, right? Is
Yeah.
that they're going to want to work together, or at least she wants to work with him. Because he he is offering, like, just pass me our lightsaber, I'll help cut through the trees and blah, blah, blah. But,
Right.
yeah. So I guess that's the next step in their, like, interactions, is for her to open up a bit and say, okay, you duck left, I duck right, and we'll take out this.
Definitely gonna have to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they leave the area, I'm not sure that changing identities is so effective. Do you? Everybody knows who Luke Skywalker is, right?
Yeah. He's a space pope. So, I mean,
But I mean, like, do you recognize celebrities right away?
yeah.
But that's the thing. They know who Luke. They know the name. Do they know the face?
That's what I'm
Yeah, I
wondering
guess
too.
so.
I mean, especially like rank and file, troops. Are they gonna know what he looks like?
Oh, yeah. I guess so. Because they're definitely going to be looking out for a male prisoner.
Yeah.
And so-
I mean, they might have a description of him, but
Yeah. So I guess changing identities isn't the worst idea in the world, right?
I mean, they don't have many options. Let's be real.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a pretty tough situation.
Yeah.
And also, just changing clothes can help a lot. If he's wearing that all black outfit, he's
The
gonna stand
black
out.
getup.
he's still.
I mean, we
wearing that.
know that he is. It's confirmed that he's been
Yeah.
wearing that for
Which drives me crazy.
2 weeks or something by now.
5
Oh,
years later.
gross.
He should change outfit just because it probably stinks.
Yeah.
I mean,
No way Mara's wearing that.
there must be like a survival poncho or something in that in that setup that they've got.
Yeah, poncho.
They've got a whole balloon in there, so maybe you can cut out the balloon to make a poncho.
Maybe he'll just walk in shirtless to distract everyone from his face.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he's got the abs to compete with Sabaoth, though.
I mean, we don't have any confirmation. All of these characters could be ripped.
They all could be portly too. So
I mean, we know one Jedi that's ripped.
and well, his exercise might be based off the Force as well. So it might not be a whole lot of like physicality that goes with a Force enhanced physique.
This is true. This is very true.
It's
Unless
it's
they
like
just
with-
work out more intensely, like Mr. Incredible lifting up like trains
Yeah.
instead of weights.
He does have some physicality too. I mean, he is dragging R2 through the forest.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
He's
true.
gonna have some. Yeah. I mean, an astromech droid. Yeah.
It's pretty buff in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he does spend 12% of his time just sitting in an X-wing.
His legs are atrophied.
What if he does core workouts while he's in there?
He's got the shake weight, like
Yeah. Or maybe
he's got
his
the ab vibrator.
maybe his seat is set up in a way that he has to use his core to look out the window.
Well, he's supposed to be short for a stormtrooper, so I think he's shorter than the average pilot too.
Yeah.
Hear me out. Bicycle pedal was in the X-wing, so that when he's
Oh, okay. That's how he actually fires up the engines.
He's got a yabba dabba do out of there.
Yeah.
So his lower body is like shredded, but his upper body is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got the opposite of skipping leg day.
So maybe he should go in town without pants instead. Yeah.
Maybe that's the real reason why Mara's falling for him.
No, it's got to be something about the back of his head. It's got to be his luscious locks.
Yeah.
There's something about the sheen of that hair that I just can't stay mad at.
The frothy hairstyle.
Is it blonde or is it brown?
Well, I wanted to ask. C-3PO has his natural voice is prissy, right?
Oh yeah, I'd say so.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody describes 3PO as prissy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Have they changed his voice back then, or is because Leia also has a prissy voice on occasion? Do you think it was Leia's voice that they were using when he made the connection with or left the message?
I'm more inclined to think it's 3PO in this case.
So they've defaulted him back.
I mean, can he switch
Factory
between,
reset.
or do they switch it themselves? I forget.
I thought they had to program him to talk like Leia.
Probably still is talking like Leia then.
Because they had him talking like Leia in when was it? Just after they'd done it, he was still talking like Leia as they were pushing him onto the Falcon. So it's not like he was switching back and forth.
Do you think 3PO is having an identity crisis?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Speaking in someone else's voice for so long. Just experiencing major dysphoria.
Do you think Han was coming on to him and be like, "Oh, sorry, it's just you sound like her"? So
He's like, "Oh, now I understand why Lando is so into L3."
Okay, I just found it's chapter 15, and a perfect imitation of Leia's voice, and I'm trying to see if they also describe Leia's voice as prissy. Oh, he doesn't actually talk all that much. No, it doesn't describe Leia's voice as prissy. So maybe they have put it back to his own voice.
so yeah, his default voice is just prissy.
Poor 3PO.
Yeah. Droid rights. Respect them, please.
Well, at least they've got a lot of camaraderie. 3PO seems to take care a lot for R2, even if R2 is a little bit of a curmudgeon about it.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
telling R2 to take care of himself.
Yeah, I do always like it when they express affection towards each other.
Yeah.
Which usually it's 3PO because he can speak, but it's just always nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on in that binary jibber jabbers.
He just has the filthiest language.
That, or he's just completely fawning over everybody.
Yeah.
I gotta see 3PO and R2 kind of like Bert and Ernie.
Mm-hmm.
They're a great pair. I love them.
Yeah.
Also, man, Luke really sold R2's combat capabilities short.
Right?
In that Myrkr fight, it's like, come on, just step back and let R2 do it. Everything would be better if R2 took care of everything.
I seriously underestimated R2's reaction time if he can just grab the thing when I get hit.
Right? I mean, we've seen that arm used in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he got his welder broken off, and then he got his grappling arm broken off.
And he's still standing. He's still going there. He's just shaking at the Vonska.
He's like the Black Knight from Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He's like,
R2's tough.
he's like, it's just a flesh wound. Come at me.
Yeah. There are two droids in all of Star Wars that I will not mess with. R2 and Chopper.
Oh, man.
Bastard mix.
Yeah.
I will take on HK-47 before I take on Chopper. Yeah.
Maybe it's just Astromechs that the ultimate battle droids are Astromechs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you rather fight T3 or HK?
HK.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I still know that's a very lopsided battle, but I will take that over T3.
Uh-huh.
Because HK is quite efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although his in-game stats do not reflect that,
No.
which is really disappointing.
Probably because he's had so much damage before you meet him that his in-game stats are terrible. So, like, he's lost his assassination protocols. He's lost a lot of his, like, combat capabilities. It's all been, like, slowly damaged and eroded out of him by the time you meet him. That, like,
Out of every character in both games, he's consistently the hardest to min-max because of his stat spread. Yeah.
you know what? Probably he's just like the old veteran, like the 90-year-old veteran that has all this experience and all this knowledge to pass on about combat, but you don't want to put them on the front lines.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Let's be fair, he's probably more of an assassin than a combatant anyway.
Yeah, probably. Which means that you could probably go toe-to-toe with him pretty well.
Yeah.
But if he gets any lead time, he's just going to annihilate you from like 7 kilometers away.
Just got to keep him talking for a bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I also really liked Luke doing the Krayt Dragon scream.
That was so cool.
That was really cool.
And it was interesting to me that was like not a Force thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got the impression it was a Force thing in A New Hope.
Too. Yeah. It might have been amplified.
Yeah, perhaps he amplified it, but it was cool to see that come back. That was like a really fun callback to me.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. It was. I would have wanted a little bit more out of the effectiveness from it because it didn't seem very to have much of an effect. But I guess it is like these Vonskas are alpha predators. They're at the very top of the food chain, and so they're not particularly scared of anything, and they don't know what to be scared of.
Yeah.
They probably don't have a big fear response in general.
Yeah.
And the last little bit of note is that Luke's hand is playing up, like he says that it's numb. And I think that's a nice callback that like he's lost one of his power cells, and you know, from what we said before, like there's a slow drip of power, kind of makes it a little bit less little bit less responsive. So isn't it nice to see that having some play into the story, and maybe it also pulls back to him thinking that he's not as good with his lightsaber as well because his hand isn't as responsive to not hit Mara if he's going to swing. He's just doing the jab and the jab and the jab until he can get it into a place that he can get a nice clean swipe at it. And
that's his dominant hand too.
Yeah.
Should have learned how to fight like Count Dooku.
How's that?
Oh, because Dooku's often fighting one-handed.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts, guys?
Great chapter.
Yeah. I like this one.
Like it quite a bit. Interested to see where the things go from here. I'm feeling engaged with Mara's character now, which is a nice feeling.
Yeah. I am excited to see the next step, even if it's not like teamwork to make the dream work kind of vibes. I'm interested to see what the goal is, and I'm interested to see what's gonna happen to the card. And like, is Card and Mara gonna join Luke and Han? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I think they need like a little bit of separation first. That we're going to see them like take a step back, reevaluate things, maybe get a little bit more evidence from the Imperials that they can't be trusted, or like that's not a sustainable business relationship, and then push them more towards the rebellion side. Not the rebellion, the New Republic.
They need a couple more Nothing Burger chapters before they decide what to do.
I need to
go back to their old ways.
I need to look up if this
things
book
just aren't the same anymore.
Was written with the trilogy in mind, or if it was written as a book and they made trilogies, more sequels to it.
Well, I mean, at this point, like the main conflict it's not even there. They don't know who Thrawn is. They're only just finding out that there's a Grand Admiral that they need to find the identity of. So I do think that this had like something longer in mind. Maybe not a trilogy. Maybe but we don't know. So
I feel like this is a good build up towards something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, like this could have like been setting the stage for something massive as well. Like, I like that, thinking about that, of like, where can this go? Is this just like this one showdown that's going to happen between these people, or is like Thrawn really setting up like the next era of what Star Wars is supposed to be?
Yeah.
Or Thrawn's going to come back to grab Luke and get caught in some grass.
Grass.
Yeah.
They did make a mention.
And then that's the end of the trilogy.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about the hubris of this one man.
Yeah.
The rising throne.
This has been The Lost Holocron. You can find transcripts, links to discussion, and more at our website, lostholocron.com. While you're there, you can learn how you can support the creation of future episodes. Read on, and we'll be waiting for you in the next transmission. We would be honored if you would join us.